Alright, guys. Well, here we are. Um, ooh, what happened? Why are we stalling? What is that all about? Alright, that was weird. These look like they froze. They froze like a little bit for like a second. I'm using this external mic, so we're gonna talk about 33 days remaining. Or 32. Sorry, 32. I don't know why I'm so wrong like every day. 2 days remaining. So let's see. Let us see. I am opening the book. I think we're on law number 5, unless we already looked at that one. Let me check something really quick. I'm looking at Spotify and the recent posts that I've made about these topics, and yeah, people aren't like super into it, but I mean, there's maybe a couple people here and there. I mean, this is kind of just the only topic I've really got that's something consistent right now. But let me see. All right, let me do this real quick. Okay. So we did law number 4 yesterday. Let's see if law number 5 is one we did already, because there were a few that we did out of order at the beginning, or a couple at the beginning. But law number 5, I feel like we did this already. Command you to grow. Law number 5, did we do this? No, I don't remember doing this because it looks like there's like a conversation in here. It is quite a few pages. Okay, so it ends at page 31, and we're going through this free Matthew Davies book that you can get on winners excuse me, winnersonlyfitness.com. In exchange for your email, you get this Matthew Davies book, or you can pay for it for $9.99 on the internet. He gives you a free version if you go to his website, and he has your email. But it's basically about fitness, more so about muscle, building muscle. I'm applying this more for kind of like knowledge, learning different things to try and track. I don't think I'm really trying to build muscle. Like, I hit some information about the calorie surplus, and I'm like, I don't think that, I feel like I'm already doing the calorie surplus, but I'm definitely not lifting that heavy and working out enough to make it so that that calorie surplus would work in my favor. Is actually building more fat than anything. It's not gaining muscle, it's building fat. So if I'm gonna do the calorie surplus, I would probably need to be lifting a whole lot more often. Um, and I don't really do that much cardio, like just like jogs or that kind of thing. If I'm not playing a sport, I'm probably not jogging anywhere. I mean, maybe if I have to catch a bus or like run to like catch a door or something, like, you know, I'm usually not running anywhere. But yeah. So well, I'll do like the elliptical, like stuff at the gym like that, but not every day and not that often. I don't really take advantage of the calorie surplus. It takes advantage of me. So I'm more on the calorie deficit side of things, but I'm still, well, that's kind of more of a goal for me is the calorie deficit because I already eat way more um, than what I need. Um, but I have been doing the tracking. It's Tuesday now. I've tracked all my meals to this point since Sunday. It hasn't all been exactly on time, but I've taken the pictures of things and then come back and scanned the barcodes. And I'm getting to a point almost already where most of the stuff I eat is going to be already on the list. And so then I'll just have to put the measurements at that point. But, and there's some stuff I'm missing, like, a little bit like some of the ingredients, like if something's chopped up and cooked into something, I might miss the ingredients, or like if there's like sauces or pepper and like salt or like little things like that, I'm missing a little bit. Like I didn't put for the pasta, like the type of pasta sauce, like that type of thing. So I'm not fully accurate on the calories. In addition to some of the beverages I consume, like the Crystal Light citrus that has caffeine in it, that does have calories. I want to say it's like 10 calories or so. Um, but yeah, some of the beverage related stuff I haven't really tracked. But I'm not really drinking a lot of beverages that have like high calorie content. Um, so I command you to grow. C.T. Fletcher, chapter 5, page 28. Law number 5. I command you to grow. C.T. Fletcher is a former 3-time world bench press champion and a former 3-time world strict curl champion. He's an old school, no nonsense, hardcore weightlifting coach. On top of that, it's a little larger so I can read it easier. On top of that, he's probably created the best gym motivation video ever released. I think it's got about 12 million views now on YouTube. This the video is called "I Command You to Grow." Let me see if I can find that. Really, I'm not really gonna watch it right now, obviously. Let me see if I can find it. YouTube, he says. Says CT Fletcher. Obviously. Let's see if I can see it. Yeah, it's got 12 million views. And I command you to grow bicep arm day with CT Fletcher. Motivational. Here. Gotta make sure I'm recording. Alright. So, is this microphone doing well? Seems like the levels are a little low. I used it yesterday, and the levels seemed a lot higher than what I'm seeing. But I didn't do an audio test, so I'm just gonna assume that we're working fine. I command you to grow. In this video, he reveals his secret to building huge muscles in the quickest time possible. Here's what CT Fletcher says in the video. See if you can catch the secret. Warning. Every other word CT Fletcher uses in this video is an F-bomb or an MF bomb. So it's quotes that it's basically reading the whole video script, I guess, but I'll read it. CT Fletcher, and this is all in quotes. Today we're going to train arms. You say it's impossible to get 22-inch arms without taking steroids. Well, I'm gonna tell you how I did it, and it ain't no MF secret. The first year and a half I got trained in the gym. Every time I stepped in the MF gym, I worked arms because I was determined to get some big AMF arms. Somebody's going to tell you that ain't the way to do it. It doesn't work that way. You'll be overtraining. But I already told you, F you overtraining MFers. For a year and a half, every time I stepped in the gym door, I worked MF arms because it was my magnificent obsession to have big MF arms. It was my desire, my midnight dream, MFers, to have big A arms. My dream was to stroll down Compton Boulevard in the city and be the biggest MF on the boulevard and have 22s. What you got? What you holding? 22s, MF, MFer. Now, if you want that, you must become obsessed with obtaining what you are trying to get. You have to be obsessed with it. If you don't have the mental capacity to be that obsessed about what you're trying to get, then MFer, you will never have it. You will not get it. You must be obsessed. It ain't no secret. You just don't have the MFing heart and the determination and the will and the desire to put into this S in order to obtain what you want. You're too big of a MFing pacified sucking pussy to do this S. Funny how people use the word pussy as like a negative. It's like somebody calls you pussy, that's a bad thing. You want the easy way. This S ain't easy. You for a MFing year and a half, I train F arms every GD day. Oh my gosh, I'm not gonna read this whole thing. There's another page of it, but it says he's hardcore. Some of you would call that extreme. Some would say it is overtraining, and maybe it is, but CT Fletcher is more right than wrong. I don't know if he said he was going to the gym every day. Was he? But I think he was saying every time he went to the gym, which is maybe different, because if you're going to the gym maybe every other day or 3 days or 5 days a week, I mean, I don't know. I'm not like a medical professional, but I think, yeah, definitely it's probably overtraining if you're doing the same thing every single day, but with no break from it. But if you're not doing it every day, I don't know. 'Cause a lot of people a lot of people I've seen do like fitness stuff. Like maybe they'll take one day off. That's pretty common, having like one day off for people who are pretty heavy with it, or they'll do like 3 days a week or 5 days a week. So usually having one day off, 2 days off, or 3 days off isn't too uncommon, or even 4 days off. Like the people who do like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or every other day, or every Friday but no weekends, or take one of the weekend days off, or weekdays off, that kind of thing. You need frequency to grow. If you lift 100 kilograms on bench press one day and then wait 2 weeks before you go for it again, you might not get that 100 kilograms on the bench again, which isn't ideal. You want to lift often and rest no more than 48 hours between each muscle group. So in other words, you want to hit each muscle group twice a week, minimum for optimal growth. But if you really want to if you really want to max out and hit each muscle group 4 times to 6 times per week. Okay, that's. But yeah, it sounds like they're saying still like a rest. Like nobody's saying like 7 days. Do the same thing 7 days. So that's the end of that part. Law number 5: lift often. So I would say, um, I haven't really had. Yeah, I've had some experience with like fitness stuff. Like for sure, I'd say like throughout high school, or maybe not my junior or senior years, but because of the type of school I went to, like it was we went to 10th grade, so 7th, 8th, ninth, and 10th. Like ninth and 10th was high school, 7 and 8 was still junior high. But because we had like a different uniform and we used different bathrooms than the younger kids, because the school went K through 10, but there was technically a preschool, but it was like across the parking lot, and they or like all the way at the corner, and it was like fenced off, and we never, unless you were like volunteering in the preschool, we never really went. We never really interacted with the preschoolers. Um, but there was a preschool on site, and then they just did their own thing. Then there was a kindergarten on site. Uh, but the only thing we had in common with them was when we'd have kindergarten buddies and read to them once a week, or like when we had Friday chapel and we were all in chapel but seated by our grades. Um, or maybe if there was like I think we did like spring fling and fall frolic. I don't know if it was once a month, once a week, or sorry, once a year or twice a year that we did these big like a full day where you're doing events like relay races and drawing. And it was a lot of outdoors like competition, stuff like that, where the grades were mixed. Like you were mixed with people in your grade and people of other grades. So you might have like kindergartners in your group. Um, but yeah, we um I would say in school we always had PE class. Um, Once we got to 7th grade, we had to start running the mile. So for the most part, we would run a mile about 5 times a week at least. Well, 4 times because we didn't have PE on chapel day on Friday. So 4 times a week we ran a mile at the least. Sometimes we'd run a mile and a half. Sometimes we'd do less, but we'd do like maybe calisthenics or we'd do more. But we pretty much had a mile. We'd have a mile test. We did those presidential test things, and we'd have like usually a sport that we would play, and it was usually divided by males and females, and maybe it would be like baseball or soccer or basketball or hockey or lacrosse. The girls never got to play speedball. They made us do aerobics. I failed PE that term because I hated it so much. We didn't even really do anything. This was like before people were even into yoga, so it was like a lot of the girls were like, "Oh, I want to do sports," because a lot of them didn't like the classic sports. But there was like a group of us who was really into the actual sports, so we were so mad when we had to do aerobics. Um, we would call out of PE a lot. We were like, well, why can't we just go play speedball with the guys? Because we want to do something athletic. We don't want to just be like bending. Like aerobics can be uh, pretty good for fitness too, but just the way we were doing it was basically stretching. Like we weren't really doing anything. And those of us who like sports and stuff were like, I hate this. And we knew that they were doing it because like there were girls who wanted to do it that way. And we were kind of like we didn't really do the whole like, oh, we're girls so we can't do this. We were kind of, I mean, some of us like to play sports, some of us like to run around and get sweaty and compete, and or even if it's not even about the competition, just the fun of it. Like it's more fun than just being really mellow sometimes. Like some people really like that, and we really enjoyed it. But they made us, because we were girls, they kind of made us mm, all do what all the other girls wanted. So I remember I often would sit it out, and I'd be like, I don't want to do this. But other than that, we did pretty great with PE, 7 through 10. You know, I never had to think about fitness related things. I was glad my junior year of high school that we didn't have to do, like I was done with PE credits by the time I hit my junior year. So I didn't have to do PE junior or senior year. And I'd finished all my volunteer work too. So, and I wasn't, I think I still played Sports League on Sundays, but that was probably the first time I started not having like a routine. Like I think, like I would still play pickup games and stuff, but and I would do stuff on my own. Um, like I remember, like I would sit and like lift these heavy water bottles or like do stuff like that. But like I definitely started gaining weight. I definitely started getting depressed. Probably junior year, senior year. Um, uh, when I went into college, I was still playing sports on Sundays through community college and through my bachelor's program. So unless we were doing like pickup games or playing sports, but I did um, kind of I don't think I really noticed though. Like I don't think I started noticing till maybe my second year of grad school that I was like, whoa, like that's when I started seeing the most significant like backwards, like other than the mental stuff, that like my schedule was so regimented, like I felt it and I noticed it, but um all through high school and college and stuff, like I had my schedule every day of the week. So even though I felt like, oh, I want to sleep in, or when I got home, I felt like I just want to relax, I was always so like busy doing the things I had to do that I just kind of like pushed through it. But I wouldn't say I wasn't depressed growing up. I probably was, but I guess I didn't notice it as much until my junior year. But there was a lot that changed my junior year. Like my social life changed. Like I said, the school I went to only went up to 10th grade, so it was almost similar to like when you graduate 12th grade and everyone kind of goes their separate directions. It was almost that feel, but it was mid high school. And then you're kind of like your junior year, usually you're supposed to be more established, but I had to start at a new school as a brand new student at a large school. I went from having 100 something kids in one school with, in my 10th grade class, I think there were 10 of us in the class, including myself, to a school that had over 2,000 students, and my junior and senior classes both had over 400 students. So that was a big shift. So I think a lot of the junior year stuff was very, like my life was more sedentary. I didn't have PE. I wasn't involved other than Sunday Sports League, which I played all the way through my first year of grad school. Other than that, I wasn't, um, I think, yeah, other than Sports League, I wasn't doing athletic stuff. Um, and then, yeah, but the weight gain I noticed was the second year of grad school. I wasn't even playing sports on Sundays, and I wasn't walking to and from. Like, I used to park off campus my first year. Um, so there were times where I parked even at the house and took the bus and walked up these massive hills for like a couple months or so. And then I'd walk all around on campus with my big heavy backpack. And then there were other times where I would bring my guitar. I had like the 17-inch laptop, 17-inch monitor laptop that was pretty heavy to lug around. And then I would have my school books as well. So between, I had an acoustic guitar with a soft case. It wasn't really that heavy. It was just bulky. And then my backpack was always super heavy. And maybe I'd have like a bag with lunch or some extra books with my lunch in there or whatever. If the backpack was way too heavy. And then sometimes I'd have to go back to my car to drop something off. Like I wanted to get some of my other books. Um, Maybe I'd leave my guitar in the lab, lock it up, and then go back to the car, which was like at least a 20-minute walk when you were walking fast. And there were hills, there were hills both ways because I parked up a hill and then all my classes because the campus is up on a hill. So it was like a U shape. I parked on the back of the campus where there were hills. I'd have to walk down from the car, go across a flat parking lot, then up either a whole bunch of stairs or up a giant hill to get to the classes. And then I almost never took the elevators either because people would get stuck in those old elevators. And so I usually took the stairs. So even if I walked a giant flight of stairs that was almost equivalent to like probably 3 to 4 stories, and then our classes would be on like the third and fourth floor. So then I'd walk another like 3, 4 flights of stairs. And it was like that, you know. I'd walk around campus, we'd go to another building, I'd walk up another flight of stairs, and all this with a load on my back, you know, walking between classes. It might be like 10 minutes, walking back to the car might be like 25 minutes or so. So even though my first year of grad school, I wasn't maybe like in the gym and exercising, I was definitely doing athletic stuff. And I definitely had that time from my second year of grad school to when I graduated the third year. Those years, I definitely gained a lot of weight. And then I immediately started getting fit. Got a trainer for like a month. So we'll say June to July when I graduated, I had a trainer. And then um, pretty much throughout that whole summer up until say past January. I don't know how far past January of that next year, but I had been working out a lot since that summer, and I kept doing like P90X and tap out and insanity, those types of workouts from home. Almost every single weekday I would do those, and so I was pretty fit. I got pretty fit that year. Um, but then I'd say that was the last year that I really focused on fitness for a while. Maybe I guess there was maybe like a year. No, when I moved to San Diego, started going to the gym there immediately. Um, so I used to go to the gym my first year in San Diego. I used to go almost every day after school or work. So maybe 4 or 5 times a week. For at least the first year, I did that, and then the second year, I hiked a lot. But somewhere halfway through the second year is where I started having problems. And then my third year, I definitely stopped doing a lot of the fitness stuff and stopped cooking. That was probably one of the worst health years of my life compared to maybe like 2023, which was also a very bad health year for me. 2023 and 2024. Um, so, um, but yeah, I stopped working out like when I was in San Diego after maybe after being there like into my second year, like towards the end of my second year, when everything started kind of falling apart, I instead of leaning into the fitness and health stuff, I stopped cooking, started eating a lot more takeout. I didn't really know about melatonin and stuff, but I remember uh, having a little beer to fall asleep, waking up all the time feeling like I was completely like not even rested. Like I felt like I had never even rested at all. And then um, yeah, I never felt rested. So that was the bigger issue. see. Um, trying to think. That was, yeah, and then, I don't know. We used to. So when the school thing stopped working out, I was working full time. Once I was working full time, I think I was pretty active. I would go to the gym. So this was probably like my fourth year or so in San Diego. I would go to the gym after work, or I would, go hiking on the weekends before I would go out. And I did that for like a couple years. We had like a trainer that would come into work on Mondays. The job site hired someone. I would do that for a couple years. I did that for a couple years. But then I stopped working out again. Um, I don't remember when, but maybe like the year before the pandemic. So maybe like 2019. I don't remember 2019 being a very active year. 2020 was not at all an active year for me. 2021 was a very active year as far as like indoor home workouts. I used to work out pretty good in the mornings, like early morning. I paid for some like $50 program. But basically, and then if you take things up to maybe early to uh, maybe near August of 2023, that's kind of another point where I stopped working out and then started having all these other fibroid issues and all this other stuff that made it so I couldn't really work out. Probably have, but like I get 10 good days out of the month. And now I get like maybe 20 days out of the month, maybe more than that, 22, 23 days. So, but that just started in near like, let's call it near December of 2024. I started seeing that availability. So it's been, and then I had that back injury the very end of 2023 going into 2024. So most of 2024, the beginning of 2024, if we call that January all the way through, I don't know, I'll say January to November. I just wasn't able to do too much at all. And then this month or this year, things kind of improved. But like I said, when I was reading from that other journal the other day, that's the most amount of time. Like when I kind of started tracking my weight, I was way heavier. That's the first time I remember being like, wow, like this definitely got out of control. But it makes sense, like because it's all along the timeline of times where I stopped working out. But I would say what he's saying about being really obsessed about something, I've never really did that with fitness. But I'd say with grad school, I did it with my master's program, with a lot of intellectual stuff like learning Hebrew or learning different methods of programming or learning how to use certain types of software. Um, like I've noticed that if you just spend a while every day working on it, you're gonna see results. Um, Not like you sit down to do it, but you're texting, or you sit down, but you're like distracted online. Like, I'm really trying to pay attention to that because that's probably the biggest changing factor lately that I've noticed is that sometimes I think I'm sitting down to work on something, and then all my energy will go to like maybe cleaning out my inboxes or like organizing files or you know unsubscribing and blocking spam emails and stuff like that. And then it's like 2 hours later, all I did was like upload some stuff to my external hard drive off of my phone to clear up space or something. It's like I didn't actually sit down and like learn, you know, and so just taking that into account and like noticing when you're starting and stopping, like I put it in my planner when I start and stop doing something, I kind of write it down. So, um, but yeah, that's probably my experience with it is I would say I've seen results with things when I've been able to keep my health plans on track as well as daily or almost daily, at least 5 times a week or so, working on whatever it is I'm trying to reach a goal with. Um, like for most things, I feel like if you're not putting in maybe like a half hour 5 times a week, you're probably in it like a focused half hour, not like a half hour where you're like part of the time looking for like a video to watch or you're texting people back or you're like checking social media and stuff like that in between. Um, it's almost like when I do podcasting, um, I'm usually just sitting talking. Like I'm not usually doing too much other stuff unless I'm driving around. Um, but yeah, just making sure that when you're doing something, you're actually focused doing it and that you know that you're focused and that you're paying attention to the fact that you're focused. But if you stop being focused, you're not really gonna actually get where you want to get, and you're not, the energy and time gets wasted. Um, but yeah, like when I look back at things like grad school, I'm like the amount of stuff I learned, and I wasn't really on. Like I got Facebook in grad school. I didn't have any other thing. I think I had MySpace, but I didn't have any other like social media. TikTok wasn't even a thing. I wasn't on Instagram when it first came out. And with Facebook, I wasn't that interested. Like this was before everybody's parents got on there. Like it was mostly college students and people at like grad schools and stuff. And so like my friends made me one like during stats class, and then I basically have the same Facebook ever since. During a stats class, we had like a break, and one of my friends was like, "Give me your email address while you go to like the bathroom or whatever." And they filled in the information. I put in my own password, and like they put the picture or something, and then we just basically went from there. But I only really used it with them. Um, I don't think Facebook was ever. If it was a problem for me, I don't remember it being a specific issue. But yeah, like I can relate to when somebody says, do it. Um, when they say to be like strict with it or to be like obsessed with it, you have to put in that time very often, focus time. I think that's one of the harder things nowadays is the focus. It's not necessarily sitting down to start doing whatever it is or getting into the gym or whatever. It's like I've noticed when I go to the gym, I used to be tracking from the time I leave the car to the time I get back to the car. It would seem like my workouts were so long. I'd be like, wow, like I'm working out for so long. But then I started tracking when I actually start a certain workout. Like say I get on the elliptical, and then right once I start, and once I've chosen all the settings and everything, then I start the timer. Versus I used to start the timer when I would park. Then I'm like, making sure my stuff is in my gym bag, go to the locker room, use the restroom, wash my hands, put my stuff in the locker, take my stuff out, walk over to whatever the elliptical that I'm going to start using. All that time that I would have been walking, even if I'm just doing it super fast, that would have taken like 5 minutes. Just the amount of time it takes to walk from the car, get get to the lockers I used to use were upstairs, so I go up these stairs, or at one gym, it's like you have to park and then you take the elevator up, so you're like waiting for the elevator, stuff like that. It's like, yeah, it takes more time. So I started not calculating that time, because I wasn't really working out at that time. I was just preparing. And then if I stopped at the elliptical and I was gonna go, I don't know, do some stretching, I would stop my timer till I got the mat ready, and once I'm like in the first stretch, then I would start the timer. Because all the little walking from one place to the other, or taking a little water break or bathroom break in between, it seemed like it was nothing, but it could be like sometimes almost 10 minutes added up. That it's like that's 10 minutes that I wasn't really working out. I was just either walking to or from the car, or going into the bathroom, or walking some other place, and I wasn't really working out. So I don't know. That was something to keep in mind. But I don't know. It was just something to keep in mind. But um, yeah, that's about all I have to say. So that's 32 days left of this. That was lesson number 5. Um, I would think for myself, I think with the calorie surplus that I already have, if I were to focus more on weight training, I definitely get good results because I'm already at a calorie surplus. So if I'm not able to like decrease what I'm eating, to a point where I'm not trying to like starve, obviously, but if I'm not, if I feel like since it would be harder for, is it harder for me to, get to a calorie deficit, or is it harder for me to lift more and lift heavy more often so that I can get, so that I can bulk with the amount that I'm already eating? Right now, I'm kind of changing the eating to make sure that it's something healthy, but I'm not really so much focused on the calories. Like I'm tracking it, it's there, the information's there, but I'm not really at a point where I can kind of understand fully how much this meal is going to be calorie wise. This is going to be like, I know it after I've eaten it, or after I've logged it, then I'm like, oh, or even if I'm like looking at the packages, sometimes I'm like, tell maybe I didn't need that extra scoop of pasta or something. But it's like, I think at the moment it would make more sense to try to bulk for myself and then see if that exercising gets me to a calorie deficit, or if any of the changing of the food gets me to a calorie deficit. And I know I need to be careful with products that give me the munchies. That's kind of primarily an issue of why I eat so much. Because whatever that last snack is, or whatever my dinner is usually going to be a lot more food than what it probably needs to be, especially if I'm adding a snack. The snacks sometimes are not that small. Um, like they can start out small, but then they become way bigger. So I think it does help to have one meal a day that's kind of lighter. That's what I was doing last week. This week it's more tracking, and I'm trying to have like a veggie breakfast plate kind of thing. Like today, the one I made had like um, cucumbers, a little bit of onion, a tomato, half an avocado, a couple bacon strips that were fried and sliced up, kind of chopped up, some corn, some spinach, two boiled eggs. Um, so I don't know. I assumed that the corn is a grain. That count as carbs, right? But yeah, it's like I had, it feels fine. Like yesterday too. I felt fine with that meal. It was just lunch that threw me off, and then I had for dinner what I said was a snack, which was basically a meal, a, um, a meal made out of snacks. Like it was a small stack of crackers, a little hummus cup, one of those epic bison beef sticks or bison meat sticks, um, a little bit of raspberries, a little bit of strawberry. Um, I don't think I took a picture. I think that's all it was. Oh yeah, and then I think what pushed it over is I ate like a little over half of one of those Larry's cookies. Um, so I ate over 300 calories or 200 calories of one of those vegan protein cookies, but they're still the cookie. So I feel like if I wouldn't have eaten that extra part with the cookie, it would have technically been a snack, but adding the cookie made it pretty much a meal. So it was probably like at least 400 something calories. Well, I can look at it and see what's the app say. How much does the app say that that snack was yesterday? Um, so if I look at yesterday snacks, um, well, I guess I didn't even add everything. No, I would have put it under dinner actually. Okay, so it looks like the calories, I can't tell. It's 360 calories for the cookie, 160 for the crackers, 120 for the uncured bacon cranberry bison bar, and 140 for the hummus classic mini cups. I'm not, the hummus cups aren't the same brand. The brand I have is from Amazon, but I couldn't find them on here. So that's 4, 5, 6, 7, 780 calories. 780 calories. So that was 780 calories last night. Um, so, but I don't want to add, let me see. Sorry, I'm looking at this, at what I wrote in. I think actually, I shouldn't have added this extra snack because I didn't have a snack yesterday. Oh, I see. The snack that I added was because I had that early morning, at 2 in the morning. So I put that as a snack. Um, but it looked similar. But yeah, so, all right, that's it for now. Thanks for listening.